Welcome back. Great to have your company this morning. Well, Los Angeles is still on edge. After a third night of protests over President Trump's immigration crackdown, the situation escalated after federal raids, led to more than 100 arrests and the surprise deployment of National Guard troops, a move condemned by both the California governor and the LA mayor.
Yeah, with us now is former FBI agent Scott Curtis, who joins us live from New York. Great to have your time and your insights on this today, Scott. Thank you for joining us. Firstly, we're keen to get your thoughts on the attacks that we've seen on journalists there in the last 24 hours. The LAPD fired rubber bullets at our reporter, Lauren Tomasi. A British photographer was also hit, had to go to hospital. Are you troubled by those reports?
Yeah, who wouldn't be? And it's sad and tragic that innocent people are caught in the crossfire of a very chaotic situation there, and it's a situation where if people aren't clearly identified there, they could unfortunately get caught in the middle of some violent altercations where people are trying to assess where fire or threats are coming from and then trying to properly address those.
I guess what's happening, though, and we can see it on the screens over the last few days, the heat is really escalating there on the streets of LA. Protests are now in their fourth day. 300 National Guard are on the ground in LA. You've got the LAPD there as well in full SWAT gear. We're now hearing that 700 Marines are being mobilized. In fact, they're potentially outside of Los Angeles now. If the Marines entered this fray, how significant would that be?
Well, it would be a statement by the federal government that they are not going to allow this situation to get further out of control there. It's not an unprecedented move, as we know from 1992 during the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles there, where the federal government deployed the 7th Infantry Division from Fort Ord, California, to LA to try to bring some order to a very, very chaotic and multi-day situation there.
Some are saying, though, some critics are calling the arrival of the National Guard without the request of the governor an overreach, and that applies also to the deployment potentially of Marines as well. Do you agree that there is an overreach here, or is it appropriate for the intensity that you've seen in these protests?
Well, the optics aren't great for sure there, but as we've seen in the last several years in situations in cities where riots are occurring there, if you allow rioters to gain a foothold somewhere, it is that much more difficult to root them out of a location that they have then secured. So in my opinion, from my military and law enforcement background, it's better to have as much manpower and resources there at the onset and be as proactive as possible there in a defensive posture, to defend lives and defend property and defend the public. And I'm sure a lot of the businesses there are probably appreciative of the additional resources that are being sent there, because as we saw, just 5 years ago there during the George Floyd riots there, where a lot of businesses lost everything there just because there wasn't the resources there to protect their properties.
So, but speaking to our reporter earlier this morning, he was saying that he was speaking to people on the streets there, that if the Marines go in, they feel like that is worrying that it could escalate the tensions there even more. So I guess the question is, Scott, with all of these factors involved, what would actually calm down the streets of LA?
I think what would immediately calm it down is if the elected officials in California would come out and take a unified and aggressive stance in that they are supporting law and order to the extent that they want to protect the public, protect their constituents there, and they don't want violent criminals in their neighborhoods either. And that's what should be conveyed to the public, that, hey, we want to do what we can to assist rooting that element out of our areas, out of our neighborhoods there, and then hopefully then ICE and law enforcement then can leave this jurisdiction and move on to bigger and better things.
All right, look, before we let you go, I'm just interested to get your thoughts this morning on Donald Trump saying that he would support the arrest of California Governor Gavin Newsom. These two are going tit for tat at the moment. Under what grounds could that happen, if at all?
I think a lot of that is a lot of blather and talk there between two individuals who like the attention there and enjoy throwing barbs at one another there. Obviously, nobody is going to get arrested unless they break some state or federal law there. And I think it would take a lot of effort on Governor Newsom's part there to be breaking any laws there which would require his arrest.
Well, yeah, Scott, that's a great insight today. I appreciate that. And we appreciate your time as well this morning. We were just seeing then outside of the centre there that the crowds were gathering there, that they were being pushed back.
A fair bit of movement, yeah, there on the ground at downtown LA. Our reporter, John O'Kersley, is there, so we'll check in with him in the news straight after this break.
Thanks,
but
Scott.
stay with us. Thank you to Scott. Still to come on Today Extra, we'll have more coverage.